Hi there folks, it's Ian here. How you doing? I hope you're well. Now, when you're starting a new website project, one of the most tedious parts of the job, especially if you do a lot of websites, is setting up the WordPress environment exactly how you want it. That means going through all the settings, installing your plugins, and just get everything set up as sweetly as you like. Now, like I said, if you're starting quite a few projects, this can get very repetitive and tedious. So one thing you can do to get around that is to create a blueprint website. Now, what is a blueprint? Basically, it's as the name suggests. You spend a bit of time getting everything set up exactly how you like. Then when you start a new website project, all you need to do is clone the one you built as the blueprint and get cracking straight away. Save you a bit of time. The reality is it only takes about 15 to 20 minutes, but it's just something you don't have to do. So let's get cracking and create my WordPress blueprint. Okay, so you've installed WordPress and this is the first screen that you see. Now, just to give you a bit of inside information on the environment I have here, I tend to build all my websites locally using an app called Local. I'll put the link in the comments below. It's a nice little app. It just simulates a web server environment on your machine with PHP and email, perfect for testing and for building websites. Now, you can, of course, use the actual internet to design your website if you want. A lot of web hosts include the facility to create staging websites, but I just prefer to do everything locally. So like I said, this is the first screen that you see when you install WordPress. And I believe the version that we're on here at the minute in January 2026 is version 6.9. So it may look slightly different depending on when you watch this video. Now, all of these, what you're looking at here, the first thing you see is the dashboard. And what annoys me about the dashboard is by default, it looks pretty messy. There's loads of unnecessary things on here that I just want to get rid of. So the easiest way to do that is click on screen options in the top right hand side, and then you can uncheck all these options here and just get rid of them. There we go. Everything looks nice and clean. Now, I have to tell you, if you see me looking over here from time to time, it's because I've got a lot of notes down there. That way, I don't forget to tell you anything. And my memory is terrible at the best of times. So if you see me looking over there, now you know. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is go into the settings area and click on general. Now, a couple of things to take note of here. First of all, put the title of the website that you're working on. That just helps if you're building multiple projects at the same time. It just helps being able to see in the tabs of your browser what it is you're looking at the time. Make sure the WordPress admin and the site address URLs here have got HTTPS on them. It's not essential, but I always like to make sure that it's there. If it's not there, what you will find is when you change it to HTTPS is that WordPress will probably log you out and it will want you to log back in again. So that's just something for you to check. Scrolling down, the date format. Now, I'm based in the UK, so it would make sense for me to choose this one, but it's not the one I choose. And the reason for that is sometimes when I'm doing a website project, I may use a lot of dynamic data. Now, I may do that or I may not do that, but if I do that, I want to make sure that I've got this option selected. So out of habit, I always make sure I choose this more kind of like universally recognized format, because this way, if I do end up using dynamic data, then I can easily modify it a little bit later on. That's pretty much it. Week starts on Monday. Not really quite sure why that's even there. Probably from WordPress's old blogging days. But yeah, I always leave it set on Monday, unless there is a very valid reason why you need to set it to another day. I'm not really quite sure why you would even do that. So I'll click on save and get that done. Next, we go on to writing, and there's not really much in here that I tend to change, so we'll just leave that one. We'll move on to reading. A couple of things here you need to do is set this to static and make sure that the home page is set as sample page. When you install WordPress, it will give you a sample page straight away. We're going to use that as our home page, and I'll show you how to set that up a little bit later on. For each post in a feed, include excerpt. The reason I do that is because SEO Press, which is the plugin I use for SEO, always says that I'm giving out the full text in a feed, and so I always make it excerpt because that is the setting it recommends. Search engine visibility. Discourage search engines from indexing this site. If you're building online, really important to do that. Just stops Google catching sight of the website and adding it to its index. If you're developing locally, like I do, not so important, but always worth doing and clicking it anyway. Just remember to unclick it when you launch the website. Otherwise, you'll have very unhappy clients. Click on Save Changes. On to discussion. Now, this is the business of allowing visitors to comment on posts and products and all that kind of stuff. So if you're not building an e-commerce website or a website where you are inviting people to leave comments, you want to turn the commenting system off. Now, the settings I use for that are this one here: allow people to submit comments on new posts. I always make sure that is switched off. And if we scroll down, there's another one down here: comment must be manually approved. So if a comment does sneak through, then at least it doesn't appear on the website, and you can approve it or spam it or send it to the bin or whatever you want. Now, bearing in mind that the changes I've suggested here don't actually turn off comments completely. Now, there are plugins that you can use that will help you do that, but we are not installing one of those in this video, although the one you want to look at, which is the one I always recommend, which is admin and site enhancements. Now, I will put a link to that down in the comments section of the video, so you can go and click on that, and it's got loads of really cool stuff in there, but we'll cover that another time. Nothing really much else to do here. We'll just click on save. On to media. Now, when you upload images into WordPress, say if you uploaded a full-size image that was maybe 5,000 pixels wide on its longest edge, what WordPress will do is it will create alternative versions of that image that are slightly smaller based on the settings you see here in this window. Now, a little bit later on in the video, I'm going to show you, well, I'm going to share you some code that you can put in to turn this off, but also control the exact image sizes that you prefer when you're designing and building websites. So I'll show you that a little bit later on. But if you don't want to use that, it's always good practice to change these settings, because the internet has moved on a lot since these were created in WordPress. These have never changed in 15 years, I don't think. So we're just going to change them because we can, and the internet is a lot better than it was 15 years ago. So we're going to set the basic width of the thumbnail to 320. We'll do the same here as well. Medium size, I tend to go with 960. That's a nice kind of medium kind of size, and it's also more or less half of the large size I recommend, which is 1920. I think half of 1920 is 960. I was never any good at maths. Uploading files, I always uncheck this option, and the reason for that is most websites tend to only have maybe 200 or 300 images, so it's not like you've got a massive asset library of pictures. The downside to this is obviously you could end up with a massive folder full of images, but the reality is, like I said, with most websites only having 200 or 300 images, it doesn't really matter so much. And plus also you end up with simpler URLs to the images as well, which is always good. And also if you end up uploading a duplicate image by mistake, WordPress will rename it and add a -1 on the end or a -2, and then you'll know that it's a duplicate, and then you can delete it. So I'll click on Save Changes. Permalinks. Now, by default with this installation of WordPress, this has been automatically set to plain. Yours might be set to plain, or it might automatically be set to post name. I always suggest setting it to post name because you get nicer URLs. You definitely do not want the first option. So check post name and click save and move on. Next up, we're going to look at privacy. Now, I tend to add the privacy policy much later on in the project, so I'm going to ignore this section here and not really do much about it. Now, other areas that you can tidy up are in the posts section. WordPress ships with a post usually called Hello World. Now, as you can see on this install, Hello World has already been deleted. So best thing to do is just get the post, put it in the bin, send it on its way, and then empty the trash, and then it's not something you have to worry about. The next thing I always like to do is go into pages, and this is where you'll see your basic pages that you get with WordPress. We're going to delete the privacy policy. We're just going to bin that off, and there we go. Put it in the bin and empty the bin. And then we'll go back here and we'll go to sample page. Now, I always like to rename this to homepage and set the slug to home. There's no reason. It just makes it easy for me to be able to find the home page quickly. We'll just click on update. And then if you click on the home page, you'll get the Gutenberg editor. And WordPress, the sample page ships with this stuff in it already. So I like to get rid of this because it's not needed. I'm going to be putting my own content on there, so it's always best practice to just delete all that. Click save, and then we'll click on the little WordPress logo in the top left corner to get back to the main pages screen, and we'll click on dashboard. So that is it as far as settings goes. We are now going to spend some time doing the exciting bit, which is adding all the plugins. Now, WordPress has a fantastic ecosystem when it comes to extending the WordPress core, and that is through the use of plugins and themes. And as you kind of go through your website project, you'll no doubt install quite a few plugins. Well, I say install, I mean carpet bomb. You'll literally carpet bomb your WordPress installation with plugins. But when it comes to the blueprint, you only need to really install the basics to get you started. So we're going to do that now. Now, the first one we're going to start with is the page builder I use, which is called Etch. You may use Elementor or Divi or Bricks or Beaver Builder, or I mean, there are literally so many out there. But Etch is the one that I use. So we're going to click on plugins and add plugin. Click on upload, click on choose, my word, WordPress, so many things to click on, and we're going to choose Etch 1.00 RC1, which is the latest version that is available right now. By the time you watch this video, we could be, I don't know, 1.2, 1.5, maybe even on Etch 2.0, who knows. We'll get that installed. And we'll click on activate, and what we need to do now is get that activated. So we're going to grab our license key. We're going to click on Etch, and we're going to paste it in here, click on save, and there we go. That's all been activated. Now, with Etch, you get a companion theme. Okay, so we're going to get that installed as well. So to do that, we need to go to Appearance now and into Themes, and then we click on Add Theme. Now, WordPress, as you can see, has got 4 built-in themes already, and we're going to get rid of those in a minute. So we'll click on Add, and then we'll click on Upload, and then we'll click on Choose File again, and we'll grab the Etch theme, which is this one here. Latest one is 0.0.7.007. Nice. Okay, we'll click on Activate to get that set up and done. And what we'll do is we're going to delete these 4 here. So we'll click on Theme Details, click on Delete at the bottom, and we'll do the same here. Delete. Okay, Theme Details, Delete. And one more. There we go, Delete. Okay, they're all gone. Now, the Etch theme also needs activating, so we'll go and do that now. We'll go to Etch theme, and we'll grab my license code from over here. Why such the big boxes, bro? We don't need such a big box here. We'll click on activate. Okay, that's all done. Right, next up, by the way, I've got notes down here, so if you see me looking over here, it's because I'm looking at the notes. In fact, my memory is terrible. In fact, I may have already told you that I do that. Next up, we're going to do Automatic CSS. Now, Automatic CSS comes from the same people who come up with Etch, and it's a CSS framework. I use it in all of my website projects. It just takes all of the mundane stuff and decisions out of web design, so like spacing and typography and all that kind of like boring stuff. So we'll get that installed. We're going to go to plugins. We're going to add a plugin. Upload, choose, and we're going to grab the latest ACSS installation, which for Etch is currently version 4 Alpha 7. And we'll get that installed, and we also need to grab the license for that, which I'm going to do now. Click on Activate. And then we'll go to License, and we'll stick our license key in here, save and activate. And that is all done and dusted. Next up is WP Codebox. Now, WP Codebox is a really cool plugin which allows you to insert snippets of code around your website. So if you use an analytics system such as Google Analytics, or what are the other ones? Umami, I think that's one, or there are so many. They will probably ask you to install code in the head section of your website. So WP Codebox is quite useful for that. It also comes in useful for inserting functions. Now, if you don't know what they are, basically, when you are designing websites, you will often be told to install a child theme on top of the main website theme that you've installed. Now, there isn't an Etch child theme, because what is the best way to do it is, if you're going to be inserting any functions, is to do it through WP Codebox or any of the other kind of snippet tools out there that you can get. So we're just going to upload WP Codebox. The other good thing with WP Codebox, by the way, is that once you've created all of your functions, you can save that as a plugin, install that into WordPress, and then delete WP Codebox completely from the installation. So but you end up replacing one plugin with another, so maybe it doesn't make so much sense. We'll click on activate. There's no license for WP Codebox, so we don't have to worry with that. It is a paid for plugin though, so do check it out. It's really cool. Again, you'll find the link for that in the description below. What have we got next? Happy files. Now, the media area of WordPress is pretty boring. If we're going to just go and have a look at it quick, it's pretty boring. There's no folders, no structure, very, very boring. Happy Files kind of gets rid of that, and we're going to install that now, and then I'll show you the difference, what it looks like when we've installed it. So we'll go to choose file, and we'll grab the Happy Files, install, get that put in, and then we will get that set up with our license code as well. Go to settings, stick our license code in the top there. Now, when it comes to using it with Etch, there are a few settings that we need to click, and the first one here is front end. Don't choose WP admin, because what you'll find is that Happy Files will then take over all of your posts section and your pages section, allowing you to be able to categorize and stick the pages in folders. That's not really something I would recommend doing, so only click on front end here. Assign multiple folders. This just means that you can categorize images in multiple folders. That's always quite cool to do. I always enable infinite scrolling, so I don't have a situation where it says load more at the bottom every single time. And I always tick this option as well. Sometimes it's useful for when I'm creating query loops. That way I can see what the full folder name is. Click on save, and I'll show you the changes that is now made to the media section. So if we go there now, and you can now see that we've got a two-column kind of setup here, and we can create folders, and then we can kind of categorize all of our images. So ones that I like to create from scratch are branding. This is the one that's going to hold all of your logos. You may have one for icons as well, so you can drag your icons into there, and you may have another one also for placeholders. And these are just the basic images that you use to kind of get the website off the ground. So that's everything that we need as far as Happy Files goes. Next up is Metabox. Now, I always think twice about installing Metabox, not because I don't like the plugin, but it's because sometimes I don't always have the need for custom post types in a website. What I do sometimes have a need for is an options page, and this will be so that the client can go in and they can put in their company name, they can put in their email address and their phone number, and then that's held centrally in one place, and then you can insert that data, you can insert that dynamic data anywhere you want throughout the site. So the client only needs to go to one place. Say they change their phone number, then they just go to one section of the website in the admin area, change the phone number, and it automatically updates throughout the website. So Metabox is quite useful for that. Other plugins that do the same job are available, such as advanced custom themes. You can also get Jet Engine. There's Pods. There's loads out there. The main ones I would say are probably Jet Engine, Metabox, and advanced custom themes. So we're going to install Metabox, We're just going to go and grab the installation file for that. There is a basic version of Metabox which is free, and that will give you some basic fields that you can use, field types like a text box, a text area, and so on and so on. But if you need more advanced things like options pages and relationships, when you start getting into really kind of technical stuff, then you will probably need to want to upgrade. Like I say, all these other options like Jet Engine, ACF, Advanced Custom Themes, they will give you those options as a paid upgrade. So we will activate that, and we'll stick our license key in for that as well. Let's stick it in here. There we go. Save changes. Another plugin I always like to install is WS Form. WS Form, I believe, is the greatest form plugin for WordPress. There's nothing really I found that it cannot do. It has the best support. If you have a problem, you can just ask WS Form, the people behind it, and they will tell you if it's something that can be done or not. They have amazing documentation on their website as well. It's really good, and you will like it. Click on activate. Now, we're not going to put the code in for this, and the reason for that is because it shows you the code on the screen, which is not really what I want in a video. So we're just going to leave that unlicensed for now. Occasionally you will see like a nag screen in WordPress, but the easiest way to get rid of that is to just put your code in. Right, moving on. I don't know why I did that then. Moving on. Right. The WordPress sidebar is now done. All the plugins are in, and I'm happy with that. But this is a right old mess. We've got plugins up here. We've got things up here. We've got things down here. It's terrible. So we're going to add another plugin. It's a free one, and it's one called Admin Menu Editor. Now, I have the pro version of this as well, but the free version is great, and it's this one here. The free version is great if you just want to reorganize your admin menu, okay? So it's the one I always recommend. Again, the link will be in the description at the bottom of this video. So I'll activate that, and the first thing we're going to want to do is go and set up our menu exactly how we want it. So there's a link up here at the top. Go to settings, menu editor. You'll also find it here in the settings option. Just click on menu editor and have a little drink. This is just water, by the way, no beer, no alcohol, not yet anyway. Okay. So we can see here that WS Form is telling us that we're not licensed, which is fine. Not too bothered about that at this stage. Now, the good thing with Admin Menu Editor is that we can reorganize this and just put things wherever we like them. Now, I have obsessive OCD. It's double obsessive. Okay, it's really bad. I like everything perfect in alphabetical order and laid out, and this is how I've been doing it for years. So WS Form, I believe, doesn't belong up here. WS Form is an add-on. It's a plugin. I believe, therefore, it should be further down the screen, preferably at the bottom of the menu. So we're just going to click on it, drag it, and we're going to put it down here. Automatic CSS, again, is a plugin. So we're going to click it, and we're going to drag it, and we're going to put it at the top because it begins with A. Now, I also don't like the name Automatic CSS, not because I don't like the product, it's because I just think it's too long in the menu. It's getting a little bit close to the edge. This is how bad my OCD is. So we're just going to click on the down arrow. We're just going to change this to a CSS. Okay, keep it nice and simple. Etch comes after a CSS, so we'll move that up there. Metabox is fine. WP Codebox, again, this is how bad I am. Because we've got a space between WS and Form, I need a space there. There we go. Right, that solves that. Now, there are other cool things. You don't just affect this menu here. You can also affect sub-menus. So if we click on the Metabox one, for example, these are all of the menu options inside Metabox. Now, I always find that custom fields are probably more important than taxonomy, so I always move that up one step and put that up there, but I'm pretty happy with that. So let's click on Save Changes. The screen will refresh and all of your changes are now here, which is pretty cool. Now, there is another setting which is always worth switching on. Click on Settings, and then it's this one here, only the current user. What this will do is it will restrict admin menu changes only to yourself. Now, you don't have to have this option enabled. You can allow any administrator or anyone who's got the manage options capability to be able to reorganize the menu however they want. But to be honest, for 99.99% of my WordPress projects, I always have this set to only the current user. Now, we'll just click on save because there's not really much else you need to do there. And that's it. As far as the blueprint goes, we are pretty much set up and ready to rock and roll. A couple of other things you might want to do are put some images in there, just some placeholder images. You can drag those into the media library quite easily. You may want to create some sample posts so that you can just kind of, if you are building a blog into a website, then you've got some data in there ready to rock. In fact, we'll do that now. Right, I just want to show you something very, very quickly before we move on to the onto the blog bit, which is the media library. So obviously we've installed Happy Files and we're now able to categorize our default media. We're going to install a few placeholders just to kind of get us off the ground. So I've got some placeholder images here that I use on a regular basis. I've got a square one and two oblong ones. You may want to upload round ones or whatever, but it just allows you to kind of drop images into where you're going to need them in the future. It might also be worth chucking some branding in there. There's a great website called Logo Ipsum, and I've got some sample logos here. If you just go to their website, again, the URL will be in the video description. You can go and download some logos there. They've got square ones, wide ones, all sorts of different logos. So we just chucked a couple of bits and bobs in there just to get us off the ground with the blueprint. Now, this is the next thing is not something I used to do. I was always happy using posts for things like news articles and blogs and stuff like that. I was always happy to do that. But then I watched a video which kind of explained that this was a bad way to do it, purely because you don't have as much control over how it appears. So the easiest way to deal with it is to just get rid of it and turn it off. So we're going to do that now. And we're going to create our own blog section, which we might not call blog. We may call it news, or we may call it articles, or we may call it whatever we want. So we're going to go into the admin menu editor because we're going to need to get rid of it. And it's really, really quite simple to do. We can go here, click on posts, and then this little icon here, we can select that and it will hide it, okay, from the menu. We're going to do the same with comments as well, because if you remember, we turned those off. So we'll go to comments and we will turn that off as well. Click on save and you'll notice now that posts and comments have disappeared from the side. We're also going to move pages to the top because I think pages are a lot more important than media. So we'll do that. We'll get that sorted out. Okay, we need to create a new section for news articles or whatever, and we're going to call it news. Okay, so we're going to go into Metabox, we're going to go to post types, and we're going to add a new post type, and we're just going to call it news. The singular name is news. Doesn't, if you're using articles, then the plural name would be articles. The singular name would be article. Okay, makes sense. And then under slug, that is the name, that is the word that's going to be used in the URL. So if you've got whatever domain.com/news/ and then the name of the article. If you have articles, it'll be website.com/article, the singular / and then the name of the article that the person's reading. So we're going to choose news for this because it's the same. We're going to make it hierarchical. That's all good. Choose an icon. I mean, sometimes I labor over these icons. I spend way too much time on choosing an icon for this section. I've just clicked on one there. It's an analytics one, but hey ho, it'll do. Click on labels. This is where you can adjust all of the different menu options when it comes to working with your new custom post type. We're just going to leave everything as default there. We can change it later. Advanced is where you set up all the advanced stuff. So we're going to give it a quick summary, news articles. There we go. Whether to exclude posts from front-end search results, that's entirely up to you. But we're going to enable post type archives. And because it's still going to be news, i.e. when someone goes to yourwebsite.com/news, it will show them all of the news articles. You may want something else. It could be news articles. Okay, so then when they go to news articles, then they will see all of the news. But we're just going to leave it as it is. I always like to turn this option off here at the bottom, delete. Delete these posts when a user gets deleted. If you are building a website where you've got an editor, okay, who creates blog posts, but then they leave for whatever reason, if you have this option enabled and you forget, then when you delete that user, all of their posts also get deleted as well, which is something you want to avoid. So we're going to turn that off, okay? Go to supports. This is where you can choose all of the different options this post type is going to support. So I always go for title, editor, which is the Gutenberg editor. We're going to have the excerpt, the author, we're going to enable that, and then everything else we're just going to leave off. Taxonomies, we're just going to ignore for now. We can add taxonomies at a later date. If you don't know what taxonomies are, they are a way of being able to categorize your posts. But at this stage of building the blueprint, you may not know what they are. And it's hard to come up with a list that kind of satisfies every different kind of website you could be building. So we're going to leave that off. And then features, we're going to turn these two options on, reorder and add toggle status column. And this is something that is unique to MetaBox. That's part of the core. And it's really quite useful. The ability to reorder posts so that they appear in a very particular order on your website is quite cool to be able to do that. And also a status. So let's just save that and I'll show you how that works very quickly. As you can see, it's now added a news section. So we'll go and click on news and we'll add a news item. And we'll just go sample news. Okay, we'll add a few. Sample news 1. Publish. And we'll add another one. We'll call it sample news 2. Sample news 2. Publish. And we'll add one more. It's always good practice to do this, especially if you know that you're going to be building news into a website, because you may not have the news yet from your client. So it's always worth adding a few, in at least 3 or more, just to kind of get you off the ground, so that when you are designing the news section, the news archive and the news pages, then at least you've got some data to work with. And did we do that one? Yeah, I think we did that one. Okay, so if we come out of that and go back into the WordPress admin, you can see we've got the news that we just added. Now you can see here we've got a status switch here. Now all this does is, if you want to turn a post back to draft rather than published, you can just click on the switch and it'll make that post kind of disappear from the website. It puts it in draft mode, and then if you want to enable it again, you can just hit the switch and make it back public on the website again. With reorder, as the name suggests, it's just a way of being able to reorder the posts into whatever order you want them to be. This comes in handy when you're doing things like custom post types, like when you're doing services or extras, or even staff sections where you want to order the staff in a very specific way. With blog posts and news and articles, not so important, because you want those to be displayed in date order. But let's create another one here for team. Okay, so we'll go to MetaBox and we'll go post types, and I'll show you how this works. We'll call it team or team members. We'll just go team. Yeah, team. Team is good. We'll just team again. It's singular. It's the same. And if we got one called user. User is a good one to use here. We'll just select that. If you're not sure what all these options are, just Google them. It all really makes sense when you look online. Team, and we want to get rid of this option here. Supports, we'll just leave these like that. Taxonomies, yeah, whatever, and we'll do reorder and toggle status. Click on save. Okay, so we've now got the team option up here. We're going to add a couple of team members. We'll call the first one Dave Smith. Set featured image. Have we got a picture of Dave Smith? There we go. There's my mate Dave. Publish. Another team member, Nick Jones. Set featured image. Grab Nick Jones in. There we go. Another picture of my mate, who is actually called Nick, but not Nick Jones. And we'll add one more, and we'll just do me. How about me? There we go. Ian Forrest. There we go. Set featured image. Just drag in a cool picture of me. There we go. Publish. Right. We'll come out of this. And as you can see, we've got 3 team members here now. We've got the toggle status options, but we're going to reorder them. I'm the boss, so I need to be top of the list. So I'll go to reorder, and you get this little screen here. So I'm going to click, pick myself up and move myself to the top of the list, which is great. Dave and Nick, I'm just going to leave where they are. They can fight that one out amongst themselves. And we'll just click on, in fact, I don't think we even need to click anything. We just go back to team. And you can see they are now in the order that they need to be. And this comes in handy when you're doing query loops on a website, because instead of having the order set to random or ascending, descending, you can have it set to menu order, and that will show them in the order that you've put them here on this page. As far as the blueprint goes, that is it. We are done. So I don't know how far we are into this, 30 minutes, something like that. I hope you found this video useful. If you have different settings that you use, other plugins that you use, I'd love to hear about them. Stick them in the comments below. One plugin that I haven't installed, that I do use but haven't installed on this video, is one called Admin and Site Enhancements. And basically, Admin and Site Enhancements is a super cool plugin. It kind of like removes the need to have so many plugins. In fact, it would get rid of 2 plugins I've installed in this video, because it has the ability to create custom post types, and it also has the ability to be able to reorder posts and pages. But other than that, it's a great toolbox plugin. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Sorry for burping, that was rather uncouth, wasn't it? But apart from that, have a great day. If you've got any questions, please leave comments below and I will do my best to help you out. Thank you very much.